And so we continued. Bishlama the Tana Didan, according to our Tana, who determines the city's status. By the existence of a world at the time of Yoshua, we understand Hainu Dichsiv, that is why it is written, Medina, Medina, Ve'ir, Ve'ir, province and province, city and city. None of these terms are redundant, for they teach the following laws. Medina, Medina, province and province, L'cheilek bein mukaf and choma mimos Yoshua ben Nun is required to differentiate between cities that were surrounded by walls at the time of Yoshua ben Nun, l'mukva choma mimos Achashverosh, and cities that were surrounded by walls at the time of Achashverosh. In the former case, Purim is celebrated on the 15th, and in the latter case on the 14th. Ir ve'ir nami, the phrase city and city is also required, l'cheilek ben Shushan l'shar ayaros, for it informs us to differentiate between the city of Shushan and other cities. Unlike other cities which also lacked a wall in the time of Yoshua, Shushan celebrates Purim on the 15th. Ela Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, however, according to Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, who determines the city's status by the existence of a wall at the time of Achashverosh, B'Shlema Medina Medina, we understand why the verse wrote province and province, L'cheilek bein Mukafin Chomo Mimosa Achashverosh, it is required to differentiate between cities that were walled in the days of Achashverosh and that were not walled in the days of Achashverosh. In the former case, Purim is celebrated on the 15th, and in the latter case on the 14th. Ela Iva Mai Asa, by what ruling does the phrase city and city come to tell us? The Gemarah answers, Amar Lach Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha, Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha could say to you, Ulatana Didan mi nicha, and is the verse understandable according to our Tana? Even according to our Tana, the verse is problematic for the following reason. Kevan de Islay Prose, since our Tana holds of the Gezer Shavah that links unwalled towns, which teaches that only cities that had a wall at the time of Yoshua observed Purim on the 15th, Medina Lamali. What purpose is served by the phrase province and province? It only reiterates the same ruling. One must conclude, therefore, that the purpose of this verse is not to differentiate between the various types of cities. Rather, the verse comes to teach us as the base for some other teaching. In fact, it comes to teach the rule propounded by Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, a walled city, as well as everything that is near it, v'chol near imo, and everything that can be seen with it, nidon kichrach, is treated as a walled city. Not only does the walled city itself celebrate Purim on the 15th, but so do all the open towns and settlements around it. In relation to the Sles Halacha, the Gemara inquires, Akama, how far can a settlement be from a walled city and still be considered near the city? The Gemara answers, Amar Rav Yirmiyahu, V'yitama Rav Chia bar Abba. Rav Yirmiyahu said, and others say it was Rav Chia bar Abba who said, Kimachas Chamson Litveria mil, the equivalent of the distance between Chamshin and Tiberias, namely 1 mil. The Gemara asks, V'lema mil, let me just say 1 mil. Why did Rabbi Yirmiyahu or Rav Chia bar Abba also maintain the equivalent of the distance between these two towns? The Gemara answers, Hakamash Malon, the Shiura the mil Kamahave. He thereby teaches us how long a mil is. Chamson Litveria. This is equivalent of the distance between Chamson and Tiberias. Having cited one teaching from Rav Yirmiyahu or Chia bar Abba, the Gemara quotes another teaching from the same source. The Amar Rav Yirmiyahu, Isema Rav Chia bar Abba, and Rav Yirmiyahu say another say was Rav Chia bar Abba said the forms of the letters Mem Nun Tzadik Pei were instituted by the prophets. The Gemara notes two difficulties with the statement. The Sisbar, it's reasonable to say that these forms were instituted by the prophets, focus of Elah Mitzvos, but it's written these are the commandments, Shein Navi Rashai, L'chadesh Davar Me'ata, which teaches that a prophet is not permitted to introduce anything new from now on. After the Sinai revelation to Moshe Rabbeinu, no change may be made to the Torah. Therefore, how could the prophets of later generations have introduced new forms of letters? V'yodamar Rav Chisda, and furthermore Rav Chisda has said, Mem Samech Shebalachut, the letters Mem and Samech of the tablets Benas Hayomdim, stood in place only by a miracle, which proves that the final forms of these letters were already in use in the days of Moshe. How then can you say that they were instituted by the prophets of later generations? And this is where we're going to stop today. We're now on Gimel Amud Aleph. Thank you.